remember the night of our biggest concert as if it were yesterday. The lights were blinding, the crowd was deafening, and somewhere in the middle of all that noise, I felt something I had never felt before in front of a crowd. I felt completely and utterly alone. My music group was at the top of the charts. Our songs played on every radio station, in every city, in every Russian-speaking country from Moscow to Almaty and beyond. I was signing contracts, appearing on primetime television, modeling for the most prestigious magazines. I spoke 5 languages: Russian, English, French, Arabic, and Turkish. And each one felt like another door I could open to the world. By every measure that society offered me, I was the definition of success. Yet despite being surrounded by all of that adoration, something inside me was quietly, persistently breaking. It did not begin suddenly. It crept in slowly, the way cold creeps into a room when a window is left open just slightly. At first, I dismissed it. I told myself that every artist has difficult nights, moments of exhaustion, moments of self-doubt. I surrounded myself with more people, more music, more movement, anything to keep the silence from settling around me. Because in the silence, the questions came, and I was not yet ready to face them. Why does this feel so hollow? What is all of this for? If I have achieved everything, why does it feel like I have nothing? I had spent years building a life that looked perfect from every angle, and yet, standing inside of it, I felt like a person standing inside a beautiful painting, unable to breathe. I tried to silence the questions in every way I knew how. I worked harder, performed more, traveled further. I accepted every invitation, every contract, every appearance. I filled every hour of every day with noise and motion because stillness terrified me. But while the music provided a temporary solace, a few hours here and there where I could lose myself in rhythm and melody, it was never enough. The emptiness always returned. Quieter sometimes, louder at others, but always there, like a shadow that followed me, no matter how brightly the spotlight shone. I remember one particular evening, after a performance in St. Petersburg. The crowd had been extraordinary, thousands of people on their feet, singing every word back to us. My name was being called from every direction. And yet, the moment I stepped off that stage and walked into the quiet of the corridor behind it, the emptiness descended on me so heavily that I had to stop walking and place my hand against the wall just to steady myself. I stood there alone in that corridor, surrounded by the fading echo of applause, and I whispered to no one in particular, "Is this really all there is?" That question never left me after that night. It was during this period of silent, desperate searching that I first encountered a woman who would change the course of my life forever. She was not a celebrity. She was not wealthy or famous or glamorous. She was modest in her appearance, unhurried in her manner, and she carried with her a quality of peace that I had never encountered in anyone from my world of entertainment. I remember looking at her during a casual gathering and thinking, what does she have that I do not? What is the source of that stillness? I found myself drawn to her in a way I could not explain. There was something about her presence that felt like shade on a burning afternoon. I did not understand it then. I only knew that I wanted to be near it. Intrigued by the tranquility she carried so effortlessly, I began to find opportunities to speak with her, and she, with extraordinary gentleness and patience, began to share with me something I had never truly explored before: her faith. She spoke about Islam not as a religion of rules and restrictions, as I had always imagined it from the outside, but as a complete and total way of understanding existence itself. She spoke about God, not as a distant, abstract concept, but as the closest reality to the human soul. She spoke about purpose and accountability and the profound mercy of the Creator toward His creation. I must emphasize this. I did not come to Islam through argument or through theological debate. I came through a feeling, a recognition. As she spoke, something inside me began to stir, as if a part of me that had been sleeping for years, perhaps my entire life, was slowly, gently, and unmistakably waking up. She invited me to listen to the Quran. I will be honest with you. I hesitated. I was a woman of 5 languages, a woman of the arts, a woman who prided herself on her sophistication and her open mind, and yet something in me resisted. Perhaps it was fear. Perhaps it was the life I had built, whispering to me that I had too much to lose. Perhaps it was simply that I had never before allowed myself to sit in true stillness long enough to hear anything beyond my own ambitions. But one evening, alone in my apartment, I placed my headphones in and I pressed play. I did not expect what happened next. The moment the recitation began, something shifted inside me, profoundly, irreversibly. I cannot describe it adequately in any of the 5 languages I speak, because what I experienced was not a thought. It was not an emotion in the ordinary sense. It was something deeper than both, a recognition so fundamental that it bypassed every layer of intellect and pride and self-protection I had built around myself, and reached directly into the very center of who I was. The words washed over me like nothing I had ever experienced, not in music, not in poetry, not in art, not in any of the languages I had studied or the stages I had stood upon. I sat there weeping, overwhelmed by a divine presence so vast and so tender that I could not move, could not speak, could not do anything but surrender to it completely. And I thought to myself, I don't know all the words, but I feel like I understand everything. The realization that dawned on me next was both the simplest and the most shattering of my entire life. There is one God. He is infinite, eternal, undivided, the absolute, the one who holds all of existence together with a single word. He does not need anything from His creation. He does not need my applause, my performances, my carefully constructed image. He simply is. He always was. He always will be. And everything I had been searching for, every restless question that the lights and the contracts and the adoration of thousands could not answer, had been answered here in this book, in this faith, in this single moment of utter, breathtaking stillness. How could I have spent so many years filling my life with so much noise and never once stopped to listen? It was as if a lightning bolt had struck my soul, illuminating every dark corner of doubt I had ever harbored. Every hollow night after a concert, every moment of inexplicable longing in the middle of an applauding crowd. It all made sense now. I had been searching in the wrong places for the right thing. I had been reaching for the absolute in everything the world offered: fame, beauty, success, admiration, and finding only its shadow. By Allah's grace, I took a step in His direction, and that step, I understand now with absolute certainty, was the will of Allah. I began to learn, slowly, carefully, with the hunger of someone who has been starving for years without knowing it. I began to pray. 5 times a day, I stood before my Creator, not in front of a crowd, not beneath a spotlight, but in the quiet of my own room, my forehead on the ground, my heart completely open. And in those moments, I found more peace than in every standing ovation I had ever received. The people around me did not understand. Some were worried. Some were unkind. Some told me I was throwing my career away, that I was making a mistake, that I would regret it. I listened to them with love and with patience because I understood. They were seeing what I was giving up. They could not yet see what I was gaining. When I put on the hijab for the first time, I did not feel that I had hidden myself from the world. I felt, for the first time in my life, that I had revealed myself, my true self, the self that had always existed beneath the makeup and the magazine covers and the performance costumes, the self that had wept in empty corridors and whispered desperate questions into the silence. She had always been there, waiting. She just needed to find her way home. Today, I no longer stand on a stage. I stand in a classroom and I teach. I fast during the holy month of Ramadan with immense gratitude, and I have performed the pilgrimage to Mecca, something that, as a singer at the top of the charts 2 years ago, I could never have imagined for myself. When my students ask me whether I miss my former life, the fame, the glamour, the music, I look at them and I answer honestly from the deepest place in my heart. I do not miss what I had. I only wonder, with profound humility and unwavering dedication to this path, how I ever lived so long without what I have now.